Imagine a world of moonlit roads and hidden dangers where love and danger go hand in hand. It's a story that's both romantic and thrilling.
Okay, I'm hooked already. So where does this story take us? What happens first?
Picture a dark, stormy night, the winds howling, rains lashing down, and the moon is like a silvery ship tossed on a stormy sea. Suddenly, a figure appears at a quiet country inn.
Ooh, spooky. Who is this mysterious figure?
But this is no ordinary traveler. This is a dashing highwayman dressed to the nines.
A highwayman. So we're talking about a thief, right? I'm imagining someone in dark clothes, maybe with a mask.
Not quite. Think more along the lines of a flamboyant rogue, a gentleman of the road, if you will.
Okay, so not exactly blending into the shadows then.
Not at all. He's wearing a plumed hat, a velvet coat that practically shimmers in the moonlight, and even has sparkling jewels.
Wow. That's not your typical image of a highwayman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm picturing more like a Robin Hood kind of character, stealing from the rich and all that.
Well, there's definitely a bit of that romanticized outlaw image going on, but remember, he is still a criminal living outside the law.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So we have our dashing highwayman arriving at this inn on a stormy night. What's his purpose?
Love, of course. He's there to meet Bess, the landlord's daughter.
Ooh, a secret rendezvous. So their love is forbidden.
Exactly. It has to be kept hidden, which just adds to the excitement and danger.
I can see that. Forbidden romance always makes for a good story. But if it's a secret, does anyone else know about their meetings?
Good question. Lurking in the shadows, we have Tim the ostler. He's not exactly a fan of our highwaymen.
Why not? Is he jealous?
Oh, most definitely. He's envious of the highwayman's freedom, his daring lifestyle, and of course, his relationship with Bess.
So we have a love triangle brewing, and it sounds like Tim might be a bit of a problem. What does he do?
He doesn't interfere directly, at least not yet, but the story tells us that he overhears the highwayman making a promise to Bess. He vows to return to her even if hell should bar the way.
Wow, that's some serious dedication.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like a pretty risky promise to make, doesn't it? I mean, someone could easily overhear that.
You're absolutely right. And that's where the plot thickens, because not long after the highwayman departs, a new threat arrives at the inn.
Oh, no. This can't be good. Who shows up?
Redcoats. A whole troop of them. They arrive quietly, their presence ominous and full of unspoken danger.
I have a bad feeling about this. They're obviously not there for a pint of ale. They're looking for the highwayman, aren't they?
Precisely. And unfortunately for Bess, they know exactly where to find her.
So they take her prisoner.
They do. They capture her and bind her, making her an unwilling participant in their plan.
What do they do with her?
They position her so she'll be the first to see the highwayman when he returns. They're essentially using her as bait to lure him into a trap.
Oh, that's just cruel. So she's forced to watch, knowing that her lover is riding straight into danger.
Exactly. That's where the real tension of the story starts to build. We, the audience, know the danger he's in, but he's completely oblivious. It's what we call dramatic irony, and it's a powerful storytelling technique to keep the audience on the edge of their seats.
It's heartbreaking to think about her helplessness. She must be terrified for him. Does she try to warn him?
That, my friend, is the question that will lead us deeper into this tale.
So Bess is trapped right in the middle of this. It's a tough spot, to say the least. Does she just sit there and wait?
Well, she could, but that wouldn't make for a very interesting story, would it? This is where Bess's character really shines. She's not just a damsel in distress. She's strong and resourceful, and she's determined to save the man she loves.
Okay, so what does she do? She's tied up, surrounded by soldiers. How could she possibly warn the highwayman?
Remember that promise the highwaymen made, even if hell should bar the way. It's a powerful statement, but it also sets the stage for a truly heartbreaking dilemma.
I see what you mean. She knows he's coming, and she knows it's a trap. But if she tries to warn him, she'll be killed instantly. It's a no-win situation.
Exactly. And the story really emphasizes this sense of impending doom. The way the writer describes the passage of time, the repetition of midnight, it's like a countdown to disaster.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You know what's going to happen, but you can't do anything to stop it.
Precisely. And Bess is caught right in the middle of it. She's torn between her love for the highwaymen and her own survival.
So what does she choose? Love or self-preservation?
In the end, love wins out. Bess decides to warn the highwaymen, even if it means sacrificing her own life.
Wow, that's a powerful statement about the strength of her love. But how does she do it? She can't exactly shout a warning, can she?
No, she can't. But remember, they've left her guarded with a musket.
Oh, no. Don't tell me. She uses the musket to warn him.
You got it. In a truly selfless act of love, she takes the musket and fires it into the night.
So her shot is the warning. That's both tragic and beautiful at the same time.
It is. The story describes her blood spilling in the moonlight, creating a stark and unforgettable image. It's a desperate signal, a last act of love to save the man she adores.
Does the highwayman see it? Does he understand the warning?
Oh, he sees it all right. The story describes him seeing the flash of the gunshot and knowing instantly what it means.
I can only imagine what must be going through his mind at that moment. Grief, rage, a sense of utter helplessness.
Absolutely. He realizes that Bess has sacrificed herself to save him, and he's overwhelmed with emotion.
So what does he do? Does he turn back?
He does, but it's too late. He turns and races back towards the inn in a desperate attempt to save her, or maybe to seek revenge.
But the redcoats are waiting for him, aren't they?
They are, and they gun him down without mercy. It's a brutal end to a tragic love story.
They both lose their lives because of their love and their defiance of the law. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes even the strongest love can't conquer all.
That's true. But there's more to this story than just a tragic ending. There's a sense of timelessness, of something that transcends death.
You're right. I'd almost forgotten about the ghosts. That's what really sets this story apart.
Exactly. And that's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we left off with tragedy, heartbreak.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something about ghosts. What's that all about?
Right. That's the thing about this story. It doesn't just end with death. It lingers. It haunts you, even.
Yeah, I have to admit there's something about it that's really stuck with me, even though it's so sad.
Well, that's the power of a good story, isn't it? And in this case, it's the ending that really elevates it to another level. You see, it's said that the ghosts of the highwayman and Bess still haunt the inn to this day.
Wait, really? So even in death, they're still connected?
Exactly. It's as if their love was so strong that it couldn't be broken even by death. They're forever searching for each other beneath the moonlight, caught in this endless loop of longing and loss.
Wow, that's both beautiful and kind of creepy at the same time. You know, it's funny. At first, I thought this was just going to be a classic adventure story about a highwayman.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that. It's about love and sacrifice and the power of the human spirit to endure even the most unimaginable pain.
You're right, and that's one of the things that makes this story so timeless. It speaks to something deep within us, something that resonates across generations.
So it's not just a ghost story. It's a love story, too.
It's both, and it's a story about the consequences of our choices. The highwayman chose a life outside the law, and in the end, it cost him everything. And Bess, well, she chose love, and that cost her everything, too.
It's a powerful reminder that even in a world of moonlight and romance, there's always a price to pay for our actions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also reminds us that even in the face of tragedy, love can endure. It can transcend even death and leave a lasting mark on the world.
I think that's a beautiful message, even if it's wrapped up in a story that's so full of sadness.
Well, that's the thing about great stories, isn't it? They stay with us long after we've finished reading or hearing them. They make us think, they make us feel, and they make us question the world around us.
Well, I know this one's going to stay with me for a while. It's definitely given me a lot to think about, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same way.
I hope so. It's always a pleasure to delve into these timeless tales and uncover the hidden layers of meaning within them.
Well, thanks for taking us on this deep dive. It's been a real eye-opener.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of highwaymen and moonlight and the enduring power of love. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
The High by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jeweled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn-yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. and dark in the dark old inn-yard a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like moldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart. I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand, as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight, oh sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning. He did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a redcoat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord. They drank his ale instead. But they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see, through her casement, the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the muzzle beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," and they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now, on the stroke of midnight, cold, on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up, she stood up to attention, with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlot, 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 tlot. Had they heard it, the horse hoofs ringing clear? Tlot, 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 tlot in the distance? Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwaymen came riding, riding, riding. The red coats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. Tlot, tlot, in the frosty silence. Tlot, tlot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned. He spurred to the west. He did not know who stood bowed, with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew gray to hear. How Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor. A highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn-yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there? But the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair.